Hello, welcome back to Hunter Tune. Today I'm working on the turbo Grom build, and I got a few things done off of camera. I got the return line done and plumbed into the flywheel stator cover. So I did talk about this, that I wanted to run the drain line right into the flywheel cover here. So I got that line all plumbed up and installed, attached onto here. And then I also built a little downpipe for the end of the turbo. So I got that all welded up and I put an O2 sensor in it. So we have O2 for our A-racer. And I also gooped up the flanges quite a bit with some copper high temp because I don't have any gaskets. I just did metal to metal. With some of the copper around the ring of the port. And I did the same thing on the head here. And I did run the bike for a little while, and I didn't have any exhaust leaks going to the turbo. So obviously it might spring a leak at some point, and if it does, we'll worry about it then. I just want to get the majority of this turbo setup built before I, see where the issues are going to come about and all that. I don't think I'm going to have issues with the turbo side, but the engine side I feel like might blow this RTV out, but we'll see. I don't know. Like I said, I truly want to redesign the hot side eventually to have the pipe go up into the head and then use the proper gasket. But for now, this is gonna do. I also found this velocity stack that I was using on the bike previously, and I think it looks pretty cool sitting on the turbo like this. So I might keep that, I might not. I don't know. What do you guys think? So that's that. Got the radiator actually bolted back in as well. So I got my coolant lines and everything. And I actually repositioned the turbo farther out since the last video that you guys saw because my wastegate was not clearing the cylinder head previously. And now we have clearance. So the wastegate will actuate now and not hit the motor. I had to buy a slightly longer oil feed line. So I got that installed, and my fuel lines and stuff are far enough away from the turbo now, so I'm not like super concerned about, direct heat, killing the line. Nothing's actually touching, so that's cool. I might still get a turbo blanket for this eventually. And I also installed a vacuum line going from the wastegate up to the turbo outlet there. So hopefully this will, open the wastegate at a certain boost level, and then we can adjust it here with these two little jam nuts. We can either put more tension on the wastegate or less tension on the wastegate. I pretty much set it around the middle. I'm hoping it'll make like 7 pounds or something like that to start. I did also find a spark plug. It was a CR9 EIX, I think is the part number. It's 1 step colder heat range, and I got a gap down to, I think, like 18 thousandths. I went pretty small. I don't want to have to pull the plug out of it later. So, because the plug is not really that easy to get to on this bike with the radiator installed. And then there's my new oil line running up. But in this video, I'm going to be building the plenum. And this has been a little bit of brainstorming and scratching my head on figuring out the best plenum size for the intake. So when you're turboing a single cylinder engine, you kind of need to run a plenum on the intake charge before the throttle body. So the plenum is pretty much just a capacitor for your boost. It's a simple way of putting it, and you need to have that larger plenum volume in order to store the extra air in between, engine pulses and stuff like that. I don't know the exact math behind it, but I know you need a plenum when you do a single cylinder turbo setup like this. So I did some math and some calculations, and I'm going a little bit over 4 times the engine size. So the engine size on this bike is 300 cc, and I'm building a plenum that is roughly 12 to 1300 cc's. So this is actually a 4-inch piece of exhaust pipe. And I cut out 4-inch pieces of steel that I'm going to use to cap the ends off like this. I'm going to weld this on, and then I'm going to have a pressure port here. I'll probably tap this to like 1/8 inch pipe so we can put a gauge here, and we can measure like plenum boost and then boost actually at the motor. I did find this boost gauge sitting at my shop, so I might throw that on. But I'm going to get this welded on, both sides. This calculation came out to about a 10-inch long piece of pipe, 4 inches in diameter. So that's my idea. I'm gonna roll with it and see what happens. First though, is we're gonna weld these little covers on. I just grabbed a hole saw and I cut out of this little sheet. I cut out some holes. I cut some circles so we can use that to plug it off. And then I might pour water in this and make sure my welds don't leak. Yeah, so I'm gonna get this all welded, and then after I'm all finished with this plenum, I'm gonna kind of show you where I think I'm gonna position it on the bike. I got a lot of inspiration from John Hedrick on Facebook. He has, well, he actually has a couple videos too on YouTube of his turbo 223cc Grom, and he did a plenum kind of similar to this. So trying to just do what he did. And another reason that I'm doing the plenum is because he told me he ran his without a plenum and it made like only 2 horsepower more than it did stock on like 20 pounds of boost. It didn't do anything. So, and then once he put the plenum on, it picked up big power. So I'm just gonna do the plenum right away. All right, guys, I don't know where I left off. I had kind of a crappy night last night working on the plenum. The hole saw, I was drilling holes through the plenum to get my piping ran into it, and the drill bit ended up breaking on the hole saw. So, or it fell out. No, it broke off. Broke off down inside of there, and the hole saw ended up slipping off of the pipe and hitting my finger. So, damn near lost my thumb. So just be careful, guys, don't be stupid like me. And prior to that, I actually ran out of welding wire, and if that wasn't a sign to give up for the night, I don't know what was, but I kept trying to push and just, you know, keep working. And you know, once you have a sign of, hey, you should probably quit for the night, you probably should, because it usually never ends well. And I came back today with a fresh start, and I got a lot of the plenum actually built already. This is what it's looking like on the bike. So I did take a 2-inch piece of pipe and I welded it into the plenum here. That's what I needed a 2-inch hole saw for. And then I used a 4-inch hole saw to cut out these little plates to cap off the top. So now I just gotta weld this guy on the top, and then we'll probably have a fitting coming out of here that we can use for, you know, a boost reference if we need it for anything. So I've been, you know, just kind of hammering this thing out, welding it up, and the other pipe here, let me grab the other coupler that I have. So this coupler is going to go off the bottom here and then shoot right into the turbo over there. That's kind of my idea. I already did the bottom. I welded this cap on first, and then once the cap was welded, I actually drilled another 2-inch hole in this, and that's what I welded this onto. So the welds don't look great because this metal wasn't really the cleanest, and I didn't really clean it off very good. But I did take the entire plenum and I put it in the house, and I filled it up with water all the way to the top, and I let it sit for quite some time, and I have 0 leaks on the bottom. Now I just got to verify that we can get the top welded on and there's not going to be any leaks there. So hopefully it works. I'm just dealing with what I got here, guys. I'm not, you know, obviously I could have done this with aluminum or something and, you know, paid somebody to help me, but I have a MIG welder and I have some steel piping, and I figured using steel, it would actually kind of offset the weight of the bike, because the turbo being on the left side is probably going to want to have the bike be left side heavy, but if I put this steel plenum on the right side, it'll probably equal itself out, I'm hoping, or be fairly balanced left to right. The welds don't look the greatest, but I'm going to clean this up and actually paint it like wrinkle black or something similar. So I'll let you know when I get it all finished up. Alright guys, I'm going to show you what my ideas are for the piping. So we have a coupling coming off of the throttle body. This will come through the fairing, the side plastics here, and then comes out. I'll clamp onto here, which will feed into the plenum, or it'll just suck right out of the plenum, which is getting fed off the bottom. And I'm going to run a pipe right between the tire and the exhaust. This is too small of a piece, but pretty much what I'm thinking is just go right through here like that, and then I'll get a 45-degree coupling off of the turbo, and we should be solid. Probably just have to get a little bit longer straight piece of 2-inch. This is like 1.5 inches, so this is too small, but we'll just have a 45 coming off of here, and then it's just going to shoot right into there. And this currently is with the bike suspension completely compressed. I actually put a ratchet strap on here and I sucked the front end down, and I'll have clearance, so that's pretty sweet. I am a little bit concerned because this pipe, you know, obviously is going to be kind of hot, but I'm going to heat wrap this, so hopefully the heat won't transfer into the piping here, and the exhaust is behind the intercooler pipe here. So technically when you're rolling, all the heat is going that way. So it's not like the heat is transferring this way. If the exhaust was in front of the intercooler pipe, then it would probably be a little different story, but yeah. I also put this velocity stack on. I just gotta get a couple clamps. I might actually use this because this will actually have the turbo sucking from completely in front of the radiator if I run that. So that'll be kind of cool looking as well. So yeah, I'll probably end up getting some heat wrap. I'll get all that wrapped up, and then I gotta put some coolant in this thing. I'll probably change the oil, and I'm gonna get this last piece of exhaust finished up. I put a rag up here because you don't want to see this weld, but I promise it doesn't leak. And I'm gonna actually spray the plenum with bed liner. It's like this black Ultimate Truck bed liner stuff. I'm just gonna paint it with that so it doesn't look like complete shit. It'll look a little bit better. And then I'm still debating if I'm gonna put a blow-off valve on it or not. I don't know if I'm going to or not. I'd like to put a blow-off valve on it, but I don't know where I'm gonna put it. That's the problem. I was thinking maybe I could put it off of here, but I can't run it low because this pipe, you know, obviously is, I don't want to go any lower than the engine is. So I can't run the blow-off valve upside down. I don't want to put the blow-off in the plenum because I feel like that would not work that great. Maybe it would, I don't know. The only other option is, you know, try to fit a blow-off somewhere in the pipe going from here to the turbo. I could maybe put a blow-off off of the turbo right here. I don't know. We'll see. I might not run a blow-off for now, even though the turbo is going to suffer not having a blow-off valve, because all that excess pressure is just going to spit right out of the compressor housing, and it's not good for it, especially this cheap KO3. So yeah, that's just something I'm going to brainstorm, is figuring out if and where I'm going to put a blow-off valve. And I can't put one here because this is going to be all fairing and stuff covering a lot of this, so it's not really going to work there. I really could run it here, but I just don't think it's going to work that good. I could weld a blow-off valve right on the top of this, and I think that's what John Hedrick did on his turbo Grom. I just feel like if you're taking the blow-off from there, it's not, I just don't think it's the best way. I feel like the blow-off should come off of the turbo somewhere, like this side, the hot side. I'm gonna say that's the cold side. So yeah, I don't know, we'll see. Alright guys, I don't know where I left off last, but I did get the plenum completed, and I painted it with some bed liner paint, and it turned out like crap, but it's okay. It'll be alright. We're just gonna throw it on. And I got my coupler today from Amazon, 1-day prime shipping. So I got my 45-degree coupler off of here, and we're gonna send that over. I got a little piece of exhaust here that I'm gonna use for piping. I just need a really small section that's just gonna go in there. So I'm gonna get that done. I got my spark plug. I did tell you guys that I want a heat range colder, and this is the plug that I ended up buying. So this is a CR9 EIA-9. So we're gonna throw this one in. I'm gonna gap it down to probably like 18 to 16 thousandths. I'm gonna go really small on it. And then I did get some heat wrap from, I went to O'Reilly's and I spent money, which normally I just try to buy this stuff on Amazon or whatever because it's cheaper, but you gotta kind of support the O'Reilly, you know. So I got some heat wrap. I got these ties to tie the heat wrap on. Got myself a boost gauge. It's just a 0 to 15 fuel pressure gauge. But we're gonna put that in the plenum, and that'll be able to show us some, you know, the boost that's in the plenum at least. I got some of this loom. So this loom I'm actually gonna put over like my oil line and stuff like that so it doesn't rub on stuff, because currently it's rubbing on the clutch cable and parts of the motor and stuff like that. So I'm gonna do that. I might also do the fuel lines with that, that loom, kind of cover this up so it's got another safety point to it. I just ordered the turbo blanket. That should be here Sunday, I think. So I'll get that put on, and then I'm gonna heat wrap all of this. Pretty much it for now. I'm gonna do a lot of this stuff. I might time lapse some of it. We'll see. I'm gonna try to get this thing knocked out and put together. Oh, another thing. Mike at Mo Power sold me these used driven racing rear sets, so you guys can see how much farther back this is. I actually couldn't even run a brake lever with the stock rear sets in this motor because you could see it actually hit right here. But I got plenty of clearance now with these rear sets. And the other side, also, I have plenty of clearance with my foot. So, and I'll be able to use this linkage and stuff, but these things get set way back. So my foot will be way out of the way now. I'm gonna get all this stuff put on, and I'm gonna show you a little recap when I get it all done.
13 left regulation, tightens up 27 feet.
So I got all this loomed. My clutch cable, I put some loom on, and the oil feed line here. And then I got my coupler on. I'm gonna get I got the radiator back installed. Now I'm gonna get this side's fairing back on. All right, guys, so I got this side's fairing installed. This thing's really coming together. Too bad it's like 20 degrees and snowing out. But it doesn't mean we can't go dyno this thing one of these days. So yeah, boost canister is all installed. I got the pipe here to connect the turbo to the plenum. Everything fits really nice. Nothing's touching the exhaust. It's all heat wrapped. I got that done. So that's looking pretty snazzy. I got my velocity stack installed. I got the vacuum line ran to my fuel pressure regulator. So this is just a line that's coming off of the motor way down in there. Then the line just loops around down here. Sorry, the lighting sucks right here. So here's the vacuum line going up to the fuel pressure regulator. So that way when the motor sees boost, it will raise the fuel pressure with boost. The only cause of concern here that I'm worried about is this coupler on the throttle body. I feel like that's the spot where it's gonna blow, if it's gonna blow. So I got all the clamps as tight as I can get them without them breaking. And yeah, I got coolant in the radiator. Now I think I'm gonna finish up doing the rear set install. I'm gonna get the rest of these rear sets done. I have the brake just tightened up a little bit here. I gotta tighten that up, and I gotta put the other side on for the shifter. And I think on the shifter with these, I might actually grind down this little nub right here by the kickstand, because what the hell? Do I need a new camera, guys? This thing never focuses. So this little nub right here, I might grind down just ever so slightly so this can clear with ease. And then I might put my 4.5 inch lowering link back in, because I raised the bike up because the exhaust, the low mount header from Paula Vista, that thing does not fit very well because it scrapes on everything. So I had to literally raise the bike up because I couldn't keep it lowered. But I think now with the turbo kit, I'm not going to have the exhaust underneath the motor, so I think I can lower it back down. So I'll probably do that. The rear sets, I'm just trying to brainstorm if anything else I got to do here. Got my sweet boost gauge installed. I also did not even use those frickin' stupid locking ties that you buy at O'Reilly's. I just used a hose clamp. I'll cut these clamps, you know, off so they don't look like crap. But yeah, those locking ties, I even bought the special tool for the locking ties. And all the tool does is break the tie. Like, the tie will be completely unusable if you use a ratchet to tighten it like they say you're supposed to. It just snapped the tie. So I don't know what's up with that. But let's keep trucking, guys. I'm gonna keep going on this thing. So I got it back down on the ground. I don't even know where I left off, but it runs, and it seems to run a lot better than before I put the charge pipe actually to the intake. I ran it with like open throttle body before, and it didn't really run all that great. And now it definitely seems like it's running a little bit better. The air fuel at idle and stuff is actually almost spot on. So I'm excited to get some E85 poured in this thing, because currently it has pump gas because it's all I had here and the bike was out when I brought it home. And I cannot wait to at least like let the thing idle for like an hour and just run it through its paces, maybe take it around the block or something like that. And then we're gonna be taking it to the shop and putting it on my motorcycle dyno. I'm like super happy with how this thing's turning out. And the rear sets and everything fit awesome. I'm gonna show you real quick, a quick clip of me sitting on the bike. So you can see that I have plenty of clearance between the turbo and my leg. I already got a turbo blanket on the way. I'm probably gonna wrap this downpipe a little bit, but this thing feels really good. It's really coming together. And I honestly, like, I'm super excited about this. I really wish I wouldn't get into bikes the start of the winter. Like, I do this every year. I'll start, you know, modifying my Groms and doing more Grom stuff and building motors for them and everything when it's like 20 freaking degrees outside, which sucks. But there is a couple days next week where it's supposed to be like 34, 35. So I'm gonna try to get this thing dynoed and tuned before then, so maybe we can take it for a little rip on the street. I don't know, I just feel like this winter is gonna be really snowy. I've been watching some YouTube, and I just feel like we're gonna have a lot of snow this winter, and if that's the case, we're definitely not gonna be able to ride the Grom at all, unless we stud it for the ice. But I don't know if I'm gonna do that with this thing or not. I'm just super stoked with how this has turned out so far. And obviously the plenum here, it's kind of a temporary thing that I've made for it, but you know, like I said, it doesn't leak water. I'm hoping it's not going to leak pressurized air, but we'll find out. And if it works, I might have something made that is, you know, a little bit better looking. I made it with a MIG welder, obviously you guys seen, but this is just kind of function for testing purposes, because I may want to make the plenum bigger or smaller depending on how the power curve is on the bike. I feel like the plenum is a big thing with making the power band. So I'm really hoping that this thing's gonna spool at a reasonable time. And I'm really hoping that it makes good power on fairly low boost. This bike makes around 40 horsepower NA, and I'm really hoping on like less than 10 pounds of boost we can make like 45 or 50. That's my goal, but theory of turbochargers, 14.7 pounds of boost should technically double your naturally aspirated horsepower, which means 14.7 pounds should make 80 horsepower, but I'm not thinking it's gonna do that. I'm just hoping it'll make, you know, more than 40 at this point. So, but at least for like car stuff, like big turbo V8 LS stuff and Honda 4-cylinder turbo stuff, I always base my, you know, rulings off of that. If your Honda makes 200 horsepower and you put 14.7 pounds to it with minimal back pressure and the right temperatures and everything like that, everything perfect, it should technically make double naturally aspirated horsepower. That's kind of like a good rule of thumb to go off of. But I know this thing not having an intercooler and stuff like that, you know, might not be the same. But I'm hoping it'll make like 50, because I think 50 in this thing would be a riot. It's already fast with 40. And if this thing had 50 to 100, oh, I think if it makes 50 to 60 on E85, I think I'm going to put a Bosch 210 injector in it and tune it on M1 methanol, because I think this thing on methanol will make loads more power. So that's going to do it. I might do another quick overview of it eventually, but I got a lot of the stuff done, and it turned out awesome. I really can't wait to just stare at it some more, to be honest, and go take it for a rip and get it on the dyno and get tuning. So be sure to subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed this little Turbo Grom content, and post your guesses down in the comments. What do you think this thing's gonna make? It makes 40 on motor. I'm hoping it'll make at least 50. That's my goal. I don't want to set my goal too high because I've never turboed a single cylinder engine, and obviously I put this shit together, so it probably won't work. But anyways, have a great night and a better tomorrow, guys. We will see you later. Oh, I'm excited for this thing.